What's up, guys? Steven here. Today I want to show you guys how to stand up like a fighter. So when I say that, probably a lot of people's minds are flashing to like that weird karate stunt, or it's not really just a karate stunt, but a kick up or a kip up, right? Where the guy comes back and then however, as great as that looks, and I'm sure you've seen a UFC fighter do it because that's showmanship. It's also a great way to get kneed right in the face and knocked out, and it's also something that not very many people can do. So we're going to look at the proper way that a fighter should stand up in a combat scenario. So people call it standing in base or a technical stand-up. So we're going to look at that. So starting here, I'm right-handed, so I'm going to keep my left hand high, and you can learn or should learn how to do it interchangeably. But today I'm just going to go over the right-handed way to do it. So I keep one hand high as a frame, right, to protect my face from whether punches or kicks that he may try to send at me, give me something between me and the aggressor, right? I have one leg framed up here, my other leg's just kind of chilling, right? So I can use this leg if the guy's looming over me, right, to deliver strikes to his legs and to drive my weight through and hopefully get him to back up and give me some space, or even injure the guy and potentially in the fight if I get it just perfect. But I don't want to rely on that alone, right? So the goal here is to stand up. So the first thing I need to do is make sure I'm not trying to stand up as the person is looming over me, right? So like I said, I have this leg strike here, not a flick, right? I'm not flicking at the guy's leg, I'm driving my weight. So see how I kind of rock back and lean into it? So I'm driving my full body weight behind that strike. I have that as a tool to get somebody to back up, right? So when you're standing over somebody and he hits that and he feels that hyperextension, even if it doesn't do a whole lot of serious damage, it does hurt, it does make the guy think, whoa, what the, and hopefully he'll give you a little bit of space and some time, right? The next thing I want to do is scoot away, right? So obviously, of course, he can chase us down. I never want to try to stand up again while the guy's looming over me. So if I start to stand and he starts to rush me, I will fall right back to my butt and bring my legs back up to defend myself. Again, I will never try to stand up as somebody is within a distance where he could easily soccer kick me in the face or just rain down blows, okay? Or rarely try to stand up in that scenario, right? So here, I scoot back, and what I'm gonna do is raise this leg and come here. So you notice right here, I've got 3 points of contact with the ground, or 3 bases. I have a base here, I have a base that is like this hip on the floor, and I have a base here, okay? So as I raise up, I take away one of my bases. I have 2 bases here, right? So as I pull this knee back, I'm back to 3. Now here's a mistake that a lot of people make, and what I'm actually making right now as I explain this to you, I'm looking down at the floor. I do want to keep my eyes on my opponent, right? So another mistake that people make here is they try to stand up too quickly, right? And they skip a few important details. So people will try to go here, right? But you'll notice if I slow that down, I'm taking my hand off of the floor as I'm trying to get up to my foot. And what happens is, for a moment, I'm on nothing but one leg, right? So if anything were to happen, if the guy pushed me, kicked me, swung at me, right, I'm very unstable and can get knocked over or put into a compromised position. So what I want to make sure I'm doing, right, I've got my 3 points of base again, right? I don't want to leave myself with only 1 point of base, right? 2 is the minimum. I like to have as many points of base as possible in a situation. 2 is the absolute minimum, right? Otherwise, something bad is going to happen to me if the opponent wants to capitalize on that mistake, right? So I want to get to my foot before I remove my hand from the mat or from the ground or the surface that we're fighting on, and then I can straighten myself up. Another common mistake that people are going to make here is they get to this position, right? And typically it's the people who look at their hands, right? As you're figuring it out, it's okay to look at where I'm standing, because I don't want to stand like this, because now I come up super wide and left or right. I don't have much control over myself, right? So I want to step up outside of my rear hand, right? But I'm also wanting to look at my opponent. So here's the next mistake. People will step up outside of their rear hand, but their hips are folded forward here. So now I'm standing up like this, right? And I'm lifting myself up with my back. And again, that's something my opponent can capitalize on. So one bad thing that could happen, right, is he can more easily kick me in the teeth, right? Or he can push me over, right? Or he can push my head down and force me to post and get on all fours again. And then I have to do a lot of work to get back to a safe position or get back where I was. So when I come up to this position, also I need to draw this leg in. I may have forgot to mention that. So if you feel yourself coming here and then you feel like, wow, I'm way too wide, right? It's okay to draw this lead leg in, okay? So as I step up, notice my hips stay underneath me, right? I'm not leaning forward like this. My hips are remaining underneath me. So let's look at that again. I'm here looking at my opponent. I draw this leg in. I step out, right? My hips stay underneath me, and now I stand in a combat base. So let's look at it from a different angle, right? I'm here looking at my opponent, right? I raise up, come to my knee. I can draw this in, step up to the outside, hips stay underneath me, and I stand in a combat base, ready to go. So if the guy's looming over me, right, again, I might add in a kick, right? I may scoot back a few scoots, 2, 3, 4, 5 scoots, however many times it takes me to get an appropriate amount of distance between me and the aggressor. So like I said, again, if the guy's chasing me or walking into me, right, and I can't keep him away with either the kicks, or if I scoot and he walks, I scoot and he steps, I'm not going to try to stand up while he's so close to me, right? Another way, right, so for my more flexible people, right, we can skip one of these steps, right? Not everybody has the mobility for this, but if you do, you can absolutely do this. So sometimes we can raise up and go straight to this leg, right? But make sure all the other steps are in line. So you'll notice as I carry this leg, I'm skipping the step of the knee, right? If you didn't catch that, right? So as I bring this behind, watch my lead leg. It draws in, right? So that I don't get too wide when I stand in base, okay? Another way that we can stand in base would be to come here, come to our knee, pull this in. Now I can windshield this leg and open my knee, right? And that's a great way of keeping your hips underneath you for people that are having a problem with that or struggling with that. It's also a great way to stand in base when we're the top person and the bottom person has us closed in their closed guard. And I can talk a little more about that in a minute. Anyways, thank you very much.